In this Sunday solution, we're going to explain to you how we put a lift station in for our RV pad so we can pump out into our septic system.
It's time
for another Sunday solution.
Let's go.
All right, so during the pandemic, we were full-time on the road, and it became apparent that we needed a place to stay for the future. We didn't want to go through that event again. We were out west when it started, and it got difficult trying to get a spot to stay, things like that. So we purchased some land, 10 acres, and we decided it would be our future home when and if we ever decide to build a house again and you know, sticks and bricks, go back to sticks and bricks type living. So this is the property, part of it, up top here. And those stakes are where the future house will probably go someday. But over in the middle, we had the septic system put in the driveway and all that good stuff, and I can put some video in of that. I ran the water line up here from the road. It was 2,700 feet. So we set up our water line there and put in a concrete pad. Don't mind my crack. Got to get that fixed. What concrete does, it gets hard and it cracks. So we wanted to, originally we talked to the excavator guy about possibly putting another septic down there for the RV. And we decided we didn't want to do another septic. So I did a little research. And before I get all the way into this, get out of the sun here, I want to say that I am by no means an expert. I'm not a plumber. And you check with your local codes to see if this is legal and what you want to do with it. But what I decided to do, and I do have some history in pipe and irrigation, that kind of stuff, some experience with that. I decided to put in what they call a lift station. And that's what this is right here. That green cap underneath, and I'll put some photos in to make it a little more understandable, is a lift station underneath there. That's a riser that brings it up to the ground height. And basically what it is, it's a sewage pump that's down in the ground inside a cavity, a plastic molded cavity, and it has a float in it. And when the float gets to a certain level, the pump will kick on, and it's piped out and it goes up to my septic tank. So basically what I have here is I have my standard RV hookup here. This is the electrical that comes up out of the ground. And right now, I didn't put an outlet in on the post here. I take it in, it's just 110 volt, and it plugs into my coach. I can show you what I'm talking about. So it's just like plugging into a regular outlet. Yeah, it's in the back there, you can't hardly see it, but that is the outlet on our coach that's for the engine block heater. So while we're here stationary, we all I do is plug it in and it does the rest. I just come out normally to my tanks and I'll pull one of these valves. I don't even know if there's enough in them at this point, but I'll try it. And it's going to drain just like that. You might hear the pump come on. Let's see. I think it's running right now. Yeah, it is. I don't know if you can hear that. So it runs till the float drops back down and then shuts off. You can't even hear it. So this pipe here is a vent. Okay, I got a vent here, and all this is a cap with a little 1/8 hole drilled in it, and that vents. And you don't get any odor or anything like that. I mean, once in a while when I'm dumping, I might get a little bit if it's pushing a lot of fumes out of there. And then this box is a shutoff for in the event of I got to work on the system, or for some reason I can turn that valve, shut it off, and on the other side of that valve is a one-way flapper valve. That Liberty all sells all this, and the valve only lets water go toward the septic tank. It can't come back. So, and basically it's a 2-inch line that runs underground, and it goes over. I'll walk over here a little bit. It goes over to where the septic tank is, and it dumps into the septic tank. So we've been using this for about probably 2 months, maybe. Haven't had an issue with it. It's flawless. I have read sometimes, once in a while, if it gets gummed up in there, you might have to take the lid off, clean it out, and that's why you have that access cover. So this is our septic tank right here. So the trench literally comes in, and there's a knockout on the side of the tank, and that's where the pipe enters the tank, and it has to enter on the solid side. And that's one thing, when I talk to Liberty Pumps, they're very helpful on the phone and everything, because initially I was going to get what they call a grinder pump. I said, oh no, don't do that, because that sewage pump that I put in will handle up to a 2-inch solid. So a grinder pump, what it does is it grinds everything so fine. And without getting too graphic what a septic tank does, but you have a solids and your liquids. Your solids lay in there till they degrade enough. Then they become liquid, and they go over into liquid tank. And then eventually when that gets high enough, it filters out to your septic field. So if you're dumping too much liquid, in other words, using the grinder pump, you would be dumping too much liquid into the system, and you'd wipe out your septic system within a couple years, probably. You'd overload it. So they say. Could, I guess, is the big thing. So I went with a standard sewage pump like they recommended. The whole advantage to this is if you're any bit of technically inclined or mechanically inclined, you can do this system yourself. I did the whole thing myself. So I had a contractor do this septic system, but I ran the line over, which is, I want to say, about 3.5 feet deep. So, because believe it or not, sewage can freeze, and here in Tennessee it gets cold. So put the line in, did the electrical simple. It's already pre-wired, just like that. And this is for a roof on I found this at one of the big box stores. It goes on the roof for your electric, but it worked perfectly for my wires. So I put that on there for now. Eventually what I'll probably do is I will run conduit underground, bring it up to an outlet, and tie it in that way. But for right now, this is simple. You know, when we're here, we come in, we plug in, and we're good to go. And it works out real nice. The advantage to it was, there's a couple advantages for us. They want to put another septic down here, which we're going to eventually put a fire pit area out there in that flatter area and clear that out a little bit more. And I didn't want another septic system here. It's another thing you got to maintain. You know, it's another expense. The expense for the septic system would be probably $6 grand, $5 to $6 grand here, even for the RV. The whole cost of that, which I'll put in there. Now, granted, it was my labor, but for the pump and all the fittings and everything, I want to say it probably about $1,300. They got a pretty good warranty on it as far as the pump. And like I say, I haven't had a minute's issue with it. It's flawless. It's quiet. You don't even hear it. I mean, some people might complain about that big green lid, but to me, that doesn't bother me. So it's all there. It's all set in stone underneath this mulch. And what they recommend that you put it in stone when you set them. And when you see the pictures of both, you'll see there are two sections. The one section sits on top of the other section, locks. That's the lid. And then to get the lid off, you just take out these 3 bolts here, here, and here, and you turn it this way. Right now it's locked, and it's heavy duty. You can stand on it, see? So, there's no issues with someone falling into it or whatever. I want to say it holds 40 gallons, or it pumps out 40 gallons, and it always leaves a little bit in there. It doesn't pump the entire tank clean, and it works perfect. I mean, my black tank is 50 gallons, so if it's pumping out 35, 40 gallons, that's my whole tank. And what I've been doing is I run it, my tank gets about 2/3 full, maybe a little over. I come out and dump it and go from there. So it might be an option for somebody down the road. And I forgot to mention, the whole reason for this, okay, is because our RV pad is lower in elevation than our septic tank. So in order to pump something uphill, you need the only way to do it is lift station. All your septic systems are gravity fed from the house, and then your leach field is gravity fed from the septic tank. So it's all got to be the right elevation. So we're not a super incline, but we got a couple feet of rise right there. I think these are good for a 25-foot lift. A lot of people put them in their basements. If they decide to put a bathroom in the basement, they'll use one of these down in the basement and in the concrete. And it's made for outdoor use, so it's fine in this application. And I forget what the pump on this one was. I think it's 1.5 horsepower maybe. And it's good. It's good distance. It's about 233 feet it's pumping. So, and a couple feet of a rise. So it's a good setup. I've been very happy with it. We'll keep you posted on how it works and how it stays functional. But this is when we're here in our home base in Tennessee, this is where we park. Prior to this, we were down the bottom of the hill on my brother's property, and we would have to have a pump out service come. And it was really getting old because they come out every week. It's $50 a week. So, we did that off and on for 2 years. And literally what we paid that pump out service, we could have paid for a septic system to have it installed. So it's a no-brainer to me. I mean, the thing's paying for itself. That was the one con of having a pump out service. The other con was we were always at their mercy. Every week they'd tell us, oh, we'll be here at a certain date and time, and they wouldn't make it. So we'd sit around all day waiting for them to come, and then they wouldn't show up, and they'd be like, oh, sorry, we had a guy call out sick. We'll be out tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So it's been great. It really has been awesome. And that's all really I can say about it. I'll put links in for everything, and it's definitely a good system. I looked high and low for information on YouTube and on the internet and stuff, and it was hard to find, good quality info. Now, my only regret is I took some pictures, which I'll put in, of the install where I was piping it in, but most of it's covered with stone at that point. I should have probably videoed the whole thing, but we wanted to get it done, and this is one of them things. I didn't ever think I was going to do a video on it, but I thought about it and decided to do one. It might help somebody out, in the future if they're thinking about what to do if they have an RV pad that's lower than their septic system. This pump can also be used to pump into a city system, so city sewer. But again, consult your local plumbing contractors, licensed contractors and stuff if you start tying in with the city and stuff. So it's a good system. It's flawless. And like I said, the people, if you have any questions, you can call Liberty Pump and they'll stay on the phone with you and help you pick the right system. And that was the hardest part for me. I didn't know what to pick, what size, all that kind of stuff. And they steered me in the right direction. I think the pump itself was, I want to say $700 for the pump, self-contained pump, which the pump is in. You don't have to do anything when it comes to you. The wiring's done, all the plumbing's in, the float's in, all that stuff. All you got to do is hook up the external pipes. You got to put your main feed pipe in, which is that where my sewer line connects, the orange pipe. You got to pipe that in, which is simple, PVC pipe and glue, and pipe in the vent on the way out and hook it up, take it over and knock it into the tank. It literally took me less than 3 hours to do the whole system. I already had the hole dug, obviously, but literally pipe it in and get it all in and try it out, test run it before I filled in, before I filled anything back in. It worked like a charm. So there you go. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and always click the like and subscribe because it helps the channel out and helps make these videos worthwhile. Have a great day.